So once you have your printouts, you need to flip them, have the students flip them like a page in a book, and then you need to trace the letter on the back so we can eventually transfer it. You can have the students do this right on the table if it's dark enough for them to see. If there's any issue with being able to see the letter showing through, you could always bring it to a window and simply hold it up to the window, and you can see here, even without being at the window, that with the light shining through, it's very easy to see the letters. So it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be like a super dark coat, and we're purposely using regular pencils, not any kind of softer graphite, because a softer graphite would make the process unnecessarily messy. So again, you can see mine's not perfect. This is absolutely fine. And you would need this to be done for all of the pages. Once you've had the students draw on the back, and you can see mine is far from perfect, you're going to flip them over and you're going to tape them together. There's a little edge where the letters don't meet up because of the way that Kaylee has to print them. So you actually don't, if that paper is there, it's not going to transfer. So once you've folded it, you can just kind of fold it over. And again, if it's not perfect, it's not perfect. And then you can just take scissors and cut it as close to that edge as possible. And then take some tape, and it doesn't matter what kind of tape it is because it's not going to show, and match them up as best you can. Oops, that's off. So let me just flip it a little, or slide it up a little. Okay, that looks pretty good. Okay, at this point, you're going to take your board and you're going to lay your papers with the graphite side down so it reads the right way. And you're going to lay it on, and if this is pretty centered. If it doesn't look centered, you can shift it around. If it's a little off center, they can just add to the design later, it's fine. So what I'm going to do is actually just kind of fold it here so I know that it goes to the edges. And then that looks a little low to the bottom, so I'm going to slide it up. So it's not a perfect science. Oops. Okay, and then once you've done that, I would just, because the kids are going to be doing it, I would take it around the back and put a piece of tape on. This is my other sample, you can see. So you can do that on both sides so that it stays in place. Then you can have a student or two, because they're big enough that you could probably have two kids working on it simultaneously, that are going to start drawing over these to transfer the letters right onto the board. And all you need is the pressure of a regular pencil. So you have a couple of options. You could try to go over the outline of the letters, or you could kind of go inside the letters and kind of make a skeleton. It's kind of up to you or up to the kids for how precise they want the letters to be. It's not going to be perfect either way, so I would not go crazy. And I don't personally think it's a great idea to color in the whole letter, because that's just going to be a lot of graphite on the board that's likely to smudge. So I'm going to do this. I might do like color the outline and then kind of make a skeleton line in the middle, something like that. So you get the idea. Now, rather than finishing the whole thing, what I'm going to do is lift this up, and you can see that the letters are beginning to transfer. So this W isn't perfect. I could put it back and fix it, or I could simply draw over it. But it's going to be this kind of skeletal version of the letters. And you would just continue doing that for all of the letters. We're good. Okay, so you can see here, I traced all the letters. My allow looks like it's kind of on a trajectory up. So I'm just gonna kind of visually slide that down rather than retracing it. It's not a perfect science. Okay, so then you're gonna take your bag of Sharpies, and some of them have like a full rainbow of the fat colors, or the wide tip. Some of them are slightly different. You can experiment. I was suggesting that you have the kids test the colors on the edges here to see what colors they like, particularly if you're using one of the painted boards, because the colors, some colors might not show up as well. Obviously, I wouldn't do yellow as a main color for a letter because it's very light, but you could use it for some of the designs. Excuse me. So now that I have this, again, this should be a very responsible XPod student. They can take the Sharpie, and I'm doing black as a choice because I feel like if this is like a technology one, that black kind of makes sense. But you could do any of the letters, and just because I have a fat one here that kind of fills in the letters perfectly, I'm just going to show you if I had a smaller Sharpie that it's still absolutely possible. So it would just be more like doing the outline of the letter and then filling it in. And what I always tell the kids, if they're trying to stay within the lines of something, is you make the border first, and then you kind of think of it like bumper cars. So if I'm trying to fill in this line here, if I don't have the border, I'm likely to go outside it. So if I make that border first, and then I do very small marks side to side, or I just keep kind of tracing inside that shape, I'm not gonna go beyond the edges. And if I do, just fix it a little bit. So you would do this, obviously, with whatever colors you want. You could switch colors for certain letters. You could also decide that you want to make some letters for yours. You could kind of, have the students, if they wanted to, like make the font. It wouldn't make sense for this one, but if I wanted to say, if something was like love or something, I could do that in a different color and with a different pattern or something. You could also experiment with kind of echoing the letters, which is what I did on this one on the other side. So I did the blue first, and then the dark blue, and then I went around it with the light blue. And you can see also my thing had kind of dripped here, so example is a little lower, and I just kind of made it a little bit bigger, and it was fine. And then actually our former student, Molly Fishback, came back to visit, and she actually kind of did the designs for me, all around the edges. So that's just an example of what you could do. So for this one, I could potentially, take another color, and instead of outlining the whole thing, I could do it like on one side, so it looks kind of like a shadow. Or, you could have the kids experiment with what they want to do. And then create designs on the outside. Those designs could be drawn. I would draw them in pencil first, probably. You could have kids sketch things out on paper and then transfer it the same way if you wanted. You could take physical stickers, and then we have the option on the handout where you could design something in, was it Canva? in Canva, and then it would be printed for you on the Cricut, and then that could be transferred. So hopefully it's not too challenging a process. Obviously, if you need help with it, let me know. You can send kids to me during XPod or during STL or exploratory. But hopefully a lot of this can get done in not too much time in your XPod.